think at least as a beginner, if you're able to do this, then you've learned something. You've learned something good. Okay. So now the next thing we need to do now is to create our roof, right? Our roof, our fascia board and the roof. And first of all, let's create layer for our roof. Let's create new layer, 3D roof, right? Enter. And let's give it the same color as this also. All right. Having 97, 48, and 0. Okay. So let's go ahead and make it our current layer as this, right? So just the same way we did for our slab, we need to do for our roof also. Okay, let's see if we can restore our viewport here. All right. Okay. Okay, I'm coming. Let me maximize this. Okay, let me now create a new viewport again. So okay, and then let's make this to the wireframe. Now, do you now see that all what we've done so far is showing here? These are our railings, right? These are our railings, our door, windows, and everything that we've done. The steps are also there, right? So as we are doing it here, is affecting here also since they are the same thing. So what we need to do now is to pick up our, since our layer is now in our roof layer, we need to pick up our polyline tool and trace out the edges of our building also to get that, to get our roof, right? Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. Okay, and once we are done with that, let's select it. All right, let's select it. Okay, now you see that when we selected it, it is now, it is down, but we need it up here. So what we just need to do is to move it. Let's move it from this end point here and bring it up here, right? Still the same thing, still there, right? Still the same thing. So now let's select it again. Let's select it, and we need it to give it ifs projection, Abby. Now let's offset it with an ifs projection distance of 600. We can use between 450 to 600, right? So let's do that, 600, right? Then let's select the original line and then delete it off. So now let's come back here and maximize this. All right. So this is what we are having. We are having this. Now let's select it and then extrude it with a distance of, let's say, 200. Let's use 200, right, as our fascia board, right? So now for us to now get our original roof, our main roof, we need to trace out this our fascia board line here, our edges here. We need to trace it out. Let's go ahead and do that. Let's trace it out. All right. Okay. So now what we need to do now is to select that particular line and then extrude it. Now if you notice that we are extruding it in a straight line manner, right? But we need it to be slanting to be diagonal, right, to form our pitch angle, right? So now if you should look down here, we're having direction, path, tap angle, and expression on our command bar here, right? So we either click on tap angle or we or type T, enter to give it our pitch angle, right? Now for the pitch angle now, if you should look at our XYZ plane here, especially our XY plane here, right? Which is for our vertical and horizontal. Now the pitch angle we need to give it now is for the horizontal. And when we were doing our 2D design, I explained earlier that for our roof plan design, we'll be using 45 degrees, right? But when it comes to our elevation and 3D aspect, then we'll be using between 15 to 30 degrees, right? So as not to make our roof too high, all right? So now this time around, we're using 22 degrees, right? For our horizontal pitch angle. Now, for us to do that, then we'll be subtracting the 22 degrees from our 90 degrees of this XY plane here. This is our XY plane. We'll be subtracting 22 degrees from 90 degrees, which is giving us 68 degrees for this vertical pitch angle here. So now we'll now go ahead and use our 68 degrees for the vertical pitch angle, right? So it will be giving us automatically the 22-degree horizontal pitch angle. Let's go ahead and use 68 degrees, right? Enter, and then give it our pitch height of, let's use 2500 for example, right? Okay, I think the angle is too high. Let's try it again. Upper angle 68, right? And let's give it 2000. Okay, this is what we're having, but there is an error somewhere. Our roof is not supposed to be looking this way. All right, this is not the way our roof is supposed to be looking. Okay, if this is not working out, let's use another method. There are various methods of making your design, so it's better to learn different methods and not to stick yourself with a single method. In case if one is giving you an issue, you can easily go ahead and use another method, right? Okay, let's go ahead and extrude it and give it height of 3000, for example. Give it a height of 3000. So now let's come here, this drop down, and click on tapper faces, right? Tapper faces. So now the next thing we need to do now is to click on undo here to select faces, or let's undo some faces. We need to undo these faces to become individual so as to be able to give them the angle, right? So I'll be clicking down on control button on my keyboard and click on this face, which is the solid face here. Click on these faces, or the faces. So I'll start clicking on the faces one by one like that. All my faces like that. Okay, I'll orbit it. I'll press down the control again and continue. All right. Okay. So now once we are done with that, now let's press enter, and then it's asking us to specify our base point, which is this point here, right? And then the upper point, another point along the axis of tapering, right, which is this point here. So let's give it taper angle of 68 degrees, right? And now we should be having our complete roof, which is this. All right, and we are good to go. This is our roof. All right, so this is originally how our roof is supposed to look like. This is how it's supposed to be. All right, so and if you're able to do this as a beginner, then at least you've learned something good, right? You're good to go. So this the design of our 3D, and there's another way we can color our design apart from using the color from our layers here. These colors we are giving them from our layers. There's another way we can design our building using the material browser. For example, let's copy this. Let's copy this somewhere. Let's copy this, right? Let's copy this. Okay. And then let's start. I don't want to change the color directly. I don't want to change the color directly from the layer because it will change everything. But I want to leave this and change only this. So I'll select the materials, the objects one by one like this. I'll be highlighting them one by one. All right. Okay. It should be giving me the properties of that particular. Come here. Now my system is misbehaving. Okay, no, this will be affecting everything. I don't want it to affect everything. I want it to affect only this particular roof here. Okay, this is what I'm expecting. So now I should just change this. You see that as I change this now, it's not affecting this, right? That's because I did not come to my layer here to change everything. If I should come here to change the color, it will affect everything definitely. So I just only came here to change only this here, right? Okay, let's do the same thing for this also. But I don't know why it's giving me issues. I don't know why it's taking long. It's not supposed to be. Okay, let's change for our slab. All right. Okay, let's do the same thing for here also. Okay. Okay. So now let's change this. So and I think okay. So now let's assume this is the way we drew our 3D originally from the start without giving it colors, right, from our layers. If we had it been once we started creating our 3D layers, right, we are leaving everything in white without giving them colors. This is the way it's going to look like this, complete white like this, without having colors, without giving them colors from our layers. This is the way it's going to look like. So now let's assume we are having something like this, right? Okay, let's go ahead and explode this our slab first. Let's explode it to become single entity. And let's switch off this, for example. So this is what we are having, right? So now let's head on to our material browser and see how we can design that. I don't want to change for the windows and doors. At least they are okay like that, though we can change them and give them material color too also. But let's leave that and come here. Let's start with our roof. Let's give it this material, our roofing material of this. Let's give it this kind of okay. Right? Now this our facial board should be originally wooden, right? So now let's head on to wood and see what we are having. Okay, let's check for let's check panels, under panels, and see what we have. Plywood. No, let's use, should we use paneling? Let's check out paneling. Okay, I think paneling is okay, right? And now let's check for wall paint or any other material. Let's use Tuco and see. Let's use white, exterior white. Oh no, this, let's try this. I don't want that. Let's use another type of white. Let's check this white gray. No, let's use medium white. Okay, I think this is looking okay. Let's see if we can still get another one. Let's check this. Okay, let's check fine white. Right. Okay, I think this is better. Right. Okay.